Fixing my computer seven. Day seven. This is like a seven. If I reverse it, it's a seven. I don't know what to tell you, man. I try. Um, room is in a bit. I mean, room is always in a state of disarray at this point. Um, got some updates for you. Some good updates, actually. Some like substantial updates. So first off, sent in my CPU to get repaired today, and then I had an epiphany. I also like trying out like different light situations in this room. I keep like fiddling with like light sources. I've tried to do a different light source every time I make these vlogs. Sent in my CPU, had an epiphany. Like I realized something. What I realized was it might not have even been the CPU that was giving me problems. It might have also been the fact that I changed the motherboard out because my old motherboard was busted by the time I replaced the power supply, specifically because the Game Max power supply I got fried my board. So this new motherboard works. It doesn't have LEDs like my old motherboard, which is unfortunate because when I turned on the power supply, when I, the switch on the back of the case, it would always light up. There would always be RGB lighting on the motherboard that was a very obvious visual indicator. And I think that's actually a good reason to invest in RGB if you can for whatever gaming computer accessories you have. I mean, besides just looking cool aesthetically, it's very obvious visual feedback that certain components are getting power. I didn't really think about that until now, so it's, if you're making a computer, even if it's not necessary, it's helpful. It's a helpful visual indicator for that kind of stuff. I realized that what might have been happening because I replaced my motherboard was the computer must have been freaking out. This has happened to me once. The last time I transferred my old hard drives over to the new computer, Ishtar, my current computer, I was having this problem too, and I actually, before I transferred over my two hard drives, my two 1 terabyte each hard drives, I did a backup. I did a backup on an external HDD and made sure to keep those hard drives just to make sure, make a backup just in case something happened during the process. And I did have to partition one of those hard drives because apparently Windows 10 needs a clean disk to install or something. I don't know why that's the case. It needs to be clean. It needs to be a virgin, unspoilt drive. If there's data on it, it acts all weird. I'm not sure. I did remove the CMOS battery of my old motherboard. It did not do anything. I did not boot it to the BIOS before removing it and declaring it dead. It is unfortunate. Oh well. We move on. Basically, I'm at the point where I realized that I missed a step. I should have realized that I would need to have done something like this. The problem is unlike in the first example where I knew I was upgrading my computer and I had time to back up my stuff. It's actually kind of like a weird, I mean, granted, I was aware. No, I didn't know that I was going to upgrade my computer. Well, in the back of my mind, I was like, this was before I moved in from the office, which I was living in for a while, back when I moved back to California. I used to live in the office, which is the room next to me. I was moving back into my old room, this room, which is now refurbished. It's bold and brash. I knew that something might have gone wrong. I think I literally... This is actually a weird story. I think I literally was like scared that once I moved into this room that something would go wrong, because I don't like unplugging my computer for any reason. I don't like to have to do like unnecessary steps to, So I think I literally backed up my computer just in case, and then like a week after I moved into this room, my old GPU, my 970, started dying. And at the time, I didn't know what that was. I assumed it was the motherboard too. But the gift of hindsight, I'm aware that it was my 970 acting up. As a matter of fact, I gave my 970 to Patrick. Shouts out Patrick Solo. Gave my 970 to Patrick, and it works barely. I've heard he's given a lot of issues with it. It still works, but like not very well, not consistently. Which is, for a GPU, you don't really want to, but in the market we have right now, it's better than nothing. Where's I going with this? I have like a million like little things I want to like put in here. Like, oh, interesting little tidbit, by the way. This 970 belongs to Patrick Solo. It does belong to Patrick Solo, though. Anyways, that was the step I skipped. I skipped the part where I had to have a clean disk. And were I smart, I would have reached out to somebody and been like, hey, I need to open up your case, wipe this old hard drive I have, because I still have the 2 old hard drives sitting around just collecting dust. Could have done something like that. I could have, but I didn't. And I had an opportunity. I checked with Nico. I've said this in the first vlog. I checked with Nico to make sure my solid state drive still worked, and it did. So the reason it wasn't booting was because there was a lot of data on that drive, and it didn't recognize my motherboard. So basically, it needed a clean drive. Had I backed up all the storage on my solid state beforehand, wiped the solid state, put a clean copy of Windows 10 on there, then moved all my data back over, it would have been fine. It would have been fine. But I didn't, because my computer, my power supply fucked up my motherboard out of nowhere. So didn't have that choice, didn't have that opportunity. Like I said, I could have. I didn't have I didn't have the resources, didn't have the opportunity to do that. What I've been doing for the rest of today, I'd like to show you, but it'd look weird, but I guess I'll show you. It's fine. We're already going on 9 minutes. So what I have in this case, I don't know if you can see this, but there is a problem I had with, let me see if I can come in here real quick. The problem I was having with this case, specifically this part right up here, this CD drive was actually a little lower, and I didn't realize until after installing this motherboard, which is actually a form factor. It was made for like mini cases. I didn't know that when I bought it. It's fine. It fits. the 24 pin connector kind of blocks access to, I don't know, you probably can't see it, but it blocks like the SATA cable in the back, and I need access to that because otherwise it would be really hard. First off, it wouldn't be good for the 24 pin connector, and you need the 24 pin connector to be like connected at all times. So I moved it up a little. So I moved the CD DVD-ROM drive up. That was fine, easy. A lot easier than I was expecting. I thought I'd have to take out the 24 pin cable to do it, but I didn't. I just kind of removed the front of the case and pulled it out that way. It's no big deal. The next thing I did was, and this is a weird one. My case has a series of cords that allow it to interface with the motherboard. Now, my old motherboard, when I plugged in the USB 3.0 header to give the USB 3.0 slot, I'm assuming, on the front of my case, which is this thing specifically right here. I don't know if you can see it. It's blue. I'm assuming that's all it's for, because, I mean, there's USB 3.0 ports on the back of this motherboard that I assume just work. I mean, I'm not 100% sure. There's not like a thing for it. There's not like a power thing for it that I need to plug in. So I'm assuming they work. But I was having trouble because trying to plug it in. It wasn't fitting, and I was like, oh, there must be like something I'm missing here. And I ordered this $10 really cheap cable from Amazon. This is kind of what like the case cable looked like. This is kind of what the motherboard connector looked like. And I thought that this would like help me. I thought that it would be like, I don't know, like make it make sense, because this is hard to explain, but basically I was like, there's no way that this USB 3.0 header fits into this motherboard the way it is. And then I was just like, but the thing is, it looks like there's a cap on the header. Like, it looks like it's being like, even though this is how I plugged it in. Like, this is hard to explain, but basically, I didn't do anything to the USB 3.0 header with my old motherboard. I plugged it in and it worked. But for whatever reason, I had to like finagle the top of this USB header. I had to like actually like physically tear off like the top of it, and that's how I accessed the actual header that fit into this motherboard's USB 3.2 slot, which is really weird, and I don't understand why that worked. I don't think I'm going to be getting USB 3.2 speeds. I think it's just USB 3.0, like the case. But, like, I don't give a shit. Like, I just wanted that to, like, fit in there. And I was like, at that point, I was just like, if I break this, I break this. Like, I can always find some kind of modular thing to, like, fit into the motherboard's USB 3.2 slot. Like, it's fine. But it was just like a weird moment of like, how was I supposed to figure this out? There was like nothing online that was like, yeah, users have reported needing to physically tear off the top of the USB 3.0 header. No, that doesn't exist online. That's not a real thing. Anyways, all this is to say that after that, I got my Intel Celeron $60 CPU from eBay. Came in immaculate condition, by the way. Plugged it in, got it in. I unplugged my solid state drive for the time being because I just need it to boot to BIOS, which is a step I forgot about. And it works. It actually booted to BIOS. It actually got a connection with this monitor, which is good. I mean, it said it failed to like boot properly because there was no solid state drive, no hardware, no storage, but it booted to BIOS, which is actually a huge step forward. And then I had Nico's RAM T-Force plugged in. It was recognizing that, and then I plugged in my RAM, and it recognized that. And it recognized the CPU, and it recognized the motherboard because it booted to BIOS, obviously. And everything looks like it's working. I only need to install the CPU fan if I'm going to use it for any amount of time, which I am. Because it's going to take I don't know, like over a week, probably. Even maybe 2 weeks for them to look at my i9, actually see if there's anything wrong with it, or if I just missed a step and I mistakenly sent them a working CPU, which would suck. And then I would just look stupid. So, could very well be what happened as well. Because I skipped a step. But, yeah, I mean, that's really it. So, I mean, I'm excited because I know the motherboard works. I know the CPU I got works. I know the RAM works. I'm probably going to have to put the fan back in for the CPU. I'm going to keep it. I'm not going to return it. I'm going to keep the Celeron just in case I need it for replacement, in case something does happen. Because troubleshooting CPUs is not easy. I realize that now. What I also did is I ordered another solid state drive, another $50 solid state drive, an NVMe M2 internal solid state drive, 500 gigabytes, not very much, but a good amount, enough to run Windows, obviously, and whatever else. I mean, I'm not that worried about it. I think I ordered it through Amazon. I'm gonna get it Friday. I was hoping I can get it tomorrow. It wouldn't be one of those get it the next day deals, but getting it Friday, so I probably won't have much to report tomorrow. But it gets here, and I'll boot up Windows on it, transfer my data over. It'll be a little process too. That'll be a whole process, and then I'll definitely have to tear apart. I'll have to tear out the Celeron eventually to put the i9 back in. That'll be a thing. And I still haven't tested the GPU since. And that's the part I'm a little worried about, because first off, I mean, I think I've already said this a million times, but it's taking it in and taking it out over and over just kind of, it makes me wary. It makes me like, I don't want to keep doing that because the motherboard's like fragile. I don't want to keep doing that. But if everything goes the way I want it to, the way I need it to, I'll only have to do that once as I'm putting it in. And again, when I'll take it out, and I'll probably have to put it back in. I'll probably have to take it out when I take out my fucking CPU cooling fan, the heatsink. I'm not going to look forward to doing that, but it's better than taking out the whole freaking motherboard. Personally, I don't really like doing that. So that's where I'm at. Making a lot of progress. Kind of narrowing it down, kind of figuring out what kind of went wrong. It sucks. It sucks having to wade through everything and realize that, of course, the solution was the most simple one, right under your nose, that you've kind of been missing. But it is what it is. Maybe no update tomorrow. Maybe a little update. Maybe just a hello. How you doing? It's been a week and I feel the same. So maybe update tomorrow. I don't know. Stay gold.